So, Bafana Bafana out of the AFCON. I'm a South African. I love football. I love my national team, and I'm very disappointed. I really think we should have done better. We could have done better. For a team that went 1-0 up against Algeria, the number one team in Africa, I think we could have won that game. But we lost 3-1. For a team that went 1-0 up against Senegal, and we lost, we drew that game. I think we could have won that game. For a team that went 1-0 up against Ghana, who just recently put in a very good performance at the World Cup, drawing 2-2 against the world champions Germany, I think we could have won that game as well. So I'm very disappointed in the national team, and I think we could have really done better. But overall, I'm not totally hopeless, or I don't feel like the team is hopeless, and I still support the national team. I am, however, concerned about our attitude as South Africans towards the national team, Bafana Bafana. And our attitude only shows face when the team starts to lose. Let's look at it this way. In 2014, July last year, Sheikh Mashaba was announced as a national coach. And from July till now, that's only 6 months that he's taken on the national team. And in those 6 months, he's taken the team through 13 games. In 13 games, he's won 6, drew 5, and lost 2. And it's only when he loses 2 that all of a sudden the whole nation has a voice. Everybody's on some, ha, Bafana Bafana, la babona here, bunch of losers, wada, yadi, yadi, yadi. I give up on this national team. I'm thinking, before the AFCON, Coach Sheikh Mashaba had taken the national team on 10 games without a loss. 10 full games. Yes, you might say, it was friendlies. Only 4 of them were friendlies. 6 of them were highly competitive during the qualifiers, where we, hypothetically speaking, contributed to the knocking out of the reigning African champions, Nigeria. Now, if you compare us to other African nations, and yes, I am going to make this comparison because when people want to prove that our national team sucks, they do compare us to other national teams, right? So I think it's only right that I should compare our national team to other national teams to prove that we don't suck as much. Let's take a look at Zambia. These guys won the AFCON, I think it was in 2011, and they got knocked out. After winning it in 2011, they always kept getting knocked out in the first round of every AFCON thereafter. If you were Zambian, how would you feel? Then let's take a look at Nigeria. They are the reigning African champions, but they're not even there to defend their championship. How would you feel if you were Nigerian? Then you've got Ivory Coast, probably the biggest letdown in Africa so far. These guys have the magnificent Yaya Toure, who is the 4-time African Football Player of the Year in a row. And they also had Didier Drogba, who is probably in the top 20 best strikers of all time, in my opinion. And they haven't achieved much of significance with that amazing national team. Then you've got a team like Ghana, who also pretty amazing team, but haven't really achieved anything with their national team. Then you've got Cameroon, who had Samuel Eto'o for many, many years, never achieved anything with Samuel Eto'o. Then I want to put this to you. If you look at those 5 nations that I've just mentioned and compare that to South Africa and how we've been performing, don't you think you are blowing Bafana Bafana's disappointments and losses out of proportion? There are people out there who've also got really, really big problems and issues with their national teams. It's okay, it's fine. Now, the biggest type of critic that I really dislike is this kind of person. The kind of person who will not say a word when the national team is doing well. It's only when the national team loses 2 games, then all of a sudden people have found their voice. Yeah, Bafana Bafana, terrible. I don't know why people even support this national team. Wada. And I'm thinking, weren't you watching the qualifiers though? When we qualified for the first time since 2008, we really qualified and we didn't lose even a single match. Weren't you watching when the national team did that? When we beat Ivory Coast 2-0, when we played 1-1 with Cameroon? Weren't you watching that when we beat Mali 3-1? The same Mali that knocked us out in the AFCON last time, but they knocked us out in a penalty shootout. They couldn't even beat us in 90 minutes. So now we out here talking like Bafana Bafana is the worst team in the world. Like, really, guys? Can we stop blowing things out of proportion in South Africa? Daily Sun says Coach Sheikh Mashaba is delusional. What is it? I saw one. Oh, they said he's in denial. I'm thinking, well, if your team went 1-0 up in every single game that they played in the AFCON, but they lost two of those and drew the other one, wouldn't you also be in denial that your team could have done better? I would be in denial too if I was Coach Shakes Mashaba. He has a pretty decent team. Unfortunately, the guys play really well for 60 minutes, and the remaining 40 minutes or so, they kind of drop the ball and they lose. That's why Coach Shakes Mashaba is probably in denial. To everybody else, just calm down. Calm down. It's not as bad as it seems. Go talk to a Nigerian, talk to an Ivorian, talk to a Zambian, talk to a Ghanaian, and ask them how they feel about their national team. Calm down, man.